For many, it may be quite a stretch to believe that nature spirits like gnomes, elves and fairies are real and exist outside the imaginary world of fairy tales. But stay with me and you will see that they are actually an integrated and important step in the evolutionary progress. The mere fact that most of us can't see them does not necessarily mean that they don't exist. I have explained the spiritual evolutionary process in greater depth in my video all about animals. But let me summarize it here so that we have a better understanding who these nature beings are, what they do and how and why they came into being. All life forms come from the eternal spirit whom we call in the Western world God, also called the life force, the light ether or love. It always starts with a virtualized spiritual atom that takes on form and becomes part of the mineral kingdom, like ethereal rocks, stones and crystals. During long light cycles, these particles evolve into the lower species of the plant kingdom, like grasses and so on. They slowly progress to higher and more complex plant species like trees. The next evolutionary step is into the animal kingdom, starting with the group souls like insects and slowly advancing to more complex animals. Their consciousness is growing from step to step, from a collective soul to part souls like whales and dolphins. The next step of evolution is the kingdom of the nature spirits, who are the caretakers of all these lower life forms like the minerals, the plants and animals. They guide, protect and nurture. They are the gnomes, the elves, the fairies and other beings, and we will speak about them in more details. Their consciousness is developed further than that of the animals, and their purpose is service, because service is the ultimate expression of love. Once a part soul of the nature spirits has grown through the different stages of the nature spirit kingdom, it can then be attracted to a couple, also called a dual, of fully evolved spiritual beings as their spiritual child. With this, it becomes and grows into a perfect and mature son or daughter of God and becomes a divine co-creator of creation who continues to increase in light and power through continuous evolution. By the way, you and I went through the same evolutionary process, which took eons of light years. It also means that all these various stages of these kingdoms are still as an essence in each one of us. Every stone, every plant, every animal, yes, every nature spirit. As we know, everything is in everything. The all is in the all, as I explained in the holographic spiritual universe video. So to become a perfect spiritual being in the absolute heavens doesn't happen overnight. But we now see that the nature spirits are an important part in the evolutionary process. All of nature is teeming with nature beings. As they are ethereal spirit beings, they are invisible to most humans, unless they are enlightened human beings. But young children can often see them and play with them. They are their so-called invisible friends, but not to the child. For the child, these beings are very real and very visible. The images that I show in this video are only artistic interpretations of these nature beings and not exact renderings, as most artists have never seen these little guys themselves. In many cultures they are called the little folks by those who can see them. The Irish have the leprechauns, the Scandinavians have the trolls, in Central America they call them the Incas or Wendies. They are immortalized in work from Midsummer Night's Dream to The Tempest and many others. Hundreds of books are written about them, most famously the book on nymphs, sylphs, pygmies and salamanders by the Swiss doctor, theologian and philosopher Paracelsus in the 16th century. Now that we have established their important place in the evolution of consciousness, let us take a closer look at these nature beings. They are also called the elementals because they are the four elemental forces that have become form. They are the spirits of earth, water, air and fire. Let's start with the spirits of the earth. Most of us are familiar with the gnomes, the soil goblins or the imps and elves. The gnomes and elves are the furthest developed nature forms on the path of evolution. They stand upright and are comparable in size to a small human child. They are in the woods, hills and in the undergrowth. Gnomes are the guardians of the energy centers, like the ley lines of the earth. And they also help suffering animals by sending them healing energy, as they are taking care of the spiritual sustenance of minerals, plants and animals. The elves are the guardians of the trees. And then there are the fairies, which are basically everywhere, as they are the guardians of plants and flowers. They live in big collective groups and know how to have fun together and love to celebrate. Fire spirits, just like the water and air spirits, are not yet fully formed, and their energy body can quickly dissolve in the flaming fire. Their heads are usually bigger compared to their torso. We can imagine them in mostly red, like blazing fire that moves vigorously in the wind, but we can also find them in the little flame of a candle. They are the guardian of fire. Their prime purpose is to serve by controlling and containing flames and to warn animals, yes, and even people, about the danger of an uncontrolled fire. Together with the other nature spirits, they endeavor to lead animals out of danger. The water spirits, which Paracelsus calls undines, are the guardians of water. They serve and nurture all life forms in the waters. The sprites and nymphs look after the lakes and rivers and energetically purify the waters. They can continuously change and transform themselves. The water spirits are the jolliest among the elemental spirits. They like to celebrate in small and large festivities. The mermen and merwomen are the guardians of the sea and look after the marine creatures. And then there are the spirits of the air, like the sylphs, who work together with the other elemental spirits. And they are far more wonderful and beautiful than any artist can imagine them. The entire body of some air spirits can be compared to a cloud formation, with a body of flowing energy. The air spirits perform many different tasks. They can influence the weather or warn others when whirlwinds, hurricanes or wildfires break out. These little guys are continuously helping and assisting the various expressions of nature. Their work has become increasingly harder because we humans have been mistreating Mother Earth so badly. But when we humans don't destroy or pollute the environment, but instead work together with nature and the nature energies, we can truly create little paradises here on Earth. A famous example are the legendary flower and vegetable gardens of Findhorn, a spiritual community in Scotland. They consciously acknowledged and worked very successfully and close together with the guidance of the elementals. The respect for all these nature forces we can also find in the Lands of Peace of the International Gabriele Foundation, where man lives in harmony with nature. They believe there are nature beings that accompany the spiritual aspects of all life forms on the whole earth. I know there are many people who don't believe in these elemental forces, and that is absolutely fine. I have no need to convince anybody. But if you have had a personal experience with nature beings, I invite you to share that story with us in the comments below this video. There are plenty of books available. My favorite book is Leobani, I Advise, Do You Accept? Leobani is an angelic being who guides and teaches the spirit children in the eternal spiritual worlds. Her revelations include stories about animals and nature beings that will gladden not only the hearts of children but also many adults. The book has many chapters on child rearing according to the spiritual laws. I will put a link to the book beneath this video. I think our time together was well spent. Let's do it again in another video, but don't forget to subscribe to this channel.